Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to another reaction. We're checking out Koong by xikers. Very excited about this one. I found a couple of things online on what the song means and what the word Koong means, but we'll talk about it later after we react to the performance video. So far, I've enjoyed the hell out of everything that I've checked out by xikers, and these guys are absolutely infectious with their charisma and their confidence, and it's just a joy to watch them every single time. So without further ado, and most importantly, the music is freaking good. So without further ado, let's get into it. We'll talk about what everything means and all after we check it out. Let's go.
하늘에서 내려와 하는 날 쿵 우주에서 떨어진 난 네 앞에 쿵 줄어선다 내리 번져 기름 멍멍 다시 감정 all attention.
What the? Wait, what?
우주에서 떨어진 난 네 앞에 쿵 줄어선다 내리 번져 기름 멍멍 다시 감정 all attention. 하루 질러 버렸어 got me 좋아 you got me down me you dead the mount me 불про스지게 보직 않니 주변에 난리 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 눈 깜빡했다 만난 네 앞에 달리 등장만으로 느껴지죠 않으면 sad 소원을 얘기해봐 비비디 바비디 오예
Bibbidi bobbidi. You got me floppity going crazy.
우주에서 떨어진다 네 앞에 쿵쿵쿵쿵 불꽃 등장해 슝슝 머리 위로 새 붐붐 시동 걸어 back 쿵쿵 얘로 turning back 불꽃 등장해 슝슝 머리 위로 새 붐붐 시동 걸어 back 쿵쿵 얘로 turning back. 느낌은 마치 두두두 멀지 땅이 흔들리고 우르르 바람 아래 강렬한 fancy 눈에 못대 너를 미워서 우연한 trick 100km 지나가 sing 눈집을 듯해 gonna be wild and loud 깜빡이게 쾅쾅쾅 터는 번개 하늘부터 땅을 깜빡할세 피가 번쩍한 것들에만 베리만 브레인드 장애단 번네 사진이 아우라우라우라 눈부셔 와와와와 이 눈앞에 갖고 와 툭툭툭툭 나만질라.
This is so different from everything else I've checked out by them. I love how they're so new and they already have so much variety. And they're hypnotizing with that fucking umbrella. This actually reminds me a little bit of some of the visuals from God's Menu with the red. Oh. Damn. Fucking hell. Holy shit. This was so different. This was so gritty. I love the choreography. I love that at one point in time they all kind of like hug and kind of like do the 1-2 step and everything. With everything that I've checked out, they kind of like make a very conscious effort to let you know that this is always a team effort. If that makes any sense. This was such a vibe. It was so dark and gritty. and some of the visuals, especially when the final set came in and like the red lights and everything were on them, it truly reminded me of some of the visuals, I believe, from Stray Kids' God's Menu, which whenever I mention another group in a reaction, it's always as a compliment, not to be taken into a different context. I know that some people don't like when you mention another group or you compare anyone. This is not a comparison. This is just something that I'm thinking out loud because it helps me and express how I'm feeling. I know that a lot of people are also fairly annoyed with always mentioning ATs whenever you talk about xikers. I try to make a conscious effort not to do that. The only thing that I will say is that watching xikers, it's not that they remind me of ATs in a musical sense. They remind me of them in the crack energy sense. Like ATs, when they perform, when you see any one of their music videos, their dances, these guys go off. It feels like the wheels are about to blow from that car that is called ATs. I'm getting similar vibes of how hard these guys are going. That's the only thing that I will mention ATs in the same sentence with xikers. Obviously, the fact that ATs are very much supportive, as far as I understand, of xikers, and Honjung, I think produced some of the songs, something among those lines. I don't want to get too much into it because I don't remember all of the comments, but I am fairly certain that Honjung was mentioned when talking about some of the previous songs that we've checked out by them. Now, in terms of the actual, this was a wonderful performance video. Like, it really showed a lot of like power. And before we actually get into the song's meaning, which I found on kpopofficial.com, I believe. Yes. The meaning of the word Koong itself, I found a website that basically gives you meanings of various baby names, just in case you wanted to name your child Koong or some other very attention-grabbing kind of name. The meaning of the name Koong would mean successful, joyful, and freedom-loving, which I guess is pretty cool. It's also the numerology number for the name Koong is 8, which I guess it doesn't really fit here, but it fits with another group, so we're not gonna talk about that. Now, as far as the actual meaning of xikers Koong, the website here talks about how Koong seems to be a representation of a loud, resonating sound, perhaps like a drum beat or thunder. Thunder fits quite well because we have various symbolisms or various visual representations of thunder. The thunder on their feet too, like they're basically like tearing through the scene, making a thunderous entrance, so to speak, in this music scene, and already like showing such an incredible variety from the songs that we've checked out from them. Like, they can really fit and do whatever genre they seem to want, and they have the charisma to do it. So that's beautiful. The song itself is about being confident and looking forward to doing big things. They're talking about themselves as if they are as powerful and as noticeable as the thunder or a bright flash of light. They want to stand out and make a difference, whether in music or in everyday life. So whether it actually, obviously it fits quite well in terms of like their debut, and then I believe, was it Rockstar, that basically was like the prequel music video that showed them being almost like in a way showing struggles and whatnot, and then becoming like those blue goblins, if I'm not mistaken, like those spirits and everything that in the debut music video possess the old man and basically give the old man everything that he wanted in his life. So I feel like that's incredibly meaningful. And also them, as far as like their actual meaning, they can be mischievous, they can be playful, they can do good and bad. There's like both sides to them. So and then Rockstar really basically showed like that origin story, and almost like not humble beginnings, but like beginnings that were less than ideal for them, and why they became who they became in the storyline sense. So I feel like that's fairly cool in terms of like the comparison to their everyday struggles and like wanting to make life better for themselves, but also as a group wanting to make an impact, a thunderous impact in the music scene, which I'm guessing they already do. Spread the news far and wide about me is also a lyric that they use here. And that basically is everything that we talked about so far, as far as like their confidence in wanting to move forward and really reaching that almost like the word of mouth and just becoming more and more popular. And I feel like one of the things that really stands out with Psyker is their energy, much like I talked about ever since the very beginning when we checked out their debut. The energy, the excitement, and just the crack energy is what I call it. It's something that these guys have an immense amount. Now, there's also a mention of Bibbidi Bobbidi, which is sounding very magical spell sounding kind of thing, which actually kind of fits within like the goblin concept that they have. So that's actually fairly cool. And in a way, it adds a bit of a charm, because as scary as they could be when they are mischievous and whatnot, as like these beings, they still add that element of charm. They still have it in them, even though they can be quite, for lack of a better word, ruthless, which is also very, very cool. Also, there's a mention of the footfalls of marching. It feels like when you hear these guys, it's always like you hear a fucking army coming in. So with all of their energy and brashness, I guess, that they show throughout this entire music video, whether it's vocally, whether it's visually, like the presence itself, I feel like they do something incredibly strong, and that is something that really tells you how much of a presence that you have, is when you have nothing to show other than your moves and your eyes, and everything else is covered, as it is in the final stages of the song, and they still pull off such an energy. But despite that, they also have like that charm about them. They're also talking about how they're in the first class and you're sitting small, like second class. So even though they have an element of charm, they're still very confident, almost like brash in a way, but not because it's false confidence. It's because of how good they are, and they feel like they are as good in their beginning as some might be in the middle of their career, which I feel like it's quite a nice feature to have, to be so confident, especially when you can back it up with all the songs that we've checked out so far by them. It's really, really cool. Also, the swoosh over your head, as far as like the goblin like energy and all that thing, just basically like flying around you, that you wouldn't even realize that something consumed you. It reminds me a little bit of their debut. Tricky House, if I'm not mistaken, was the name. I also love the whole Tricky House, how it's almost like a direct reference to this fucking umbrella, which is causing a hypnosis effect. So they're basically like hypnotizing and sending you in for a loop. And it's almost like the way that they perform and everything, it should feel like as if it's unbelievable. So I thought that this was absolutely fucking awesome. Also, it kind of like reminded me, there's a line saying running while you're still sleeping. It almost reminds me of like early Mike Tyson or something, like, or I think it was Mike Tyson, thinking about how he wakes up early and doing his thing, training, because while he's doing that, his opponent is still sleeping. So that means that he has the upper hand. He's going to get the upper hand because he trains that much harder. So I feel like there's a couple of really cool analogies. The shiny things in my bag is also an interesting line. I'm not sure if that's supposed to represent like accolades and whatnot. That's what I would think logically, but I don't know about any of their accolades so far, in terms of like any awards that they won. So feel free to let me know in the comment section. And yeah, this was awesome. Koong, it's almost like a release of energy of sorts, and just shouting from the rooftop, almost like, honestly, like marking your territory, and just very primal. That's what I would say here. It's absolutely awesome. I really, really loved how different the song was, and that the energy that these guys exude is just insane. So if I made any sense, let me know in the comment section. If you guys enjoyed this reaction, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you all in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Have a wonderful weekend. See ya.